My name is Tréchelle Bunn, and I grew up in Wampum, Manitoba, and I'm a proud member of Birdtail Sioux Dakota Nation. My area of study is criminology, so I'll be graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in criminology with a minor in Indigenous studies. I decided to come to university, I think, just because growing up my dad was always really passionate about me and my brother both pursuing education, and so was my mother. And I think one of my favorite quotes even that he shared with me, and I think a lot of people are familiar with, is from the Honorable Murray Sinclair, saying education is what got us into this mess and education will get us out. So I think kind of just being a first generation university graduate and being the first in my family to pursue post-secondary education was kind of encouraged by my parents, and something that I felt passionate about, knowing that I've always dreamed of kind of having an impact on the world and making change, and education is kind of that driving force that I want to use to do so. My goal is to become a lawyer and kind of work towards combating the overrepresentation of Indigenous peoples in the criminal justice system. So kind of working as an advocate for Indigenous peoples and different communities in that area. And then one day I'd like to run for chief of my community of Birdtail Sioux Dakota Nation. So if elected, I would be the first female chief. So kind of, breaking down barriers in that sense as well is definitely a way that I'd like to give back through education. I feel really hopeful for the future that through education in general, and especially post-secondary institutions, will kind of work towards taking the burden off of Indigenous students having to educate those around them, and kind of making spaces more inclusive by implementing strategies such as making sure everyone takes a required Indigenous studies course, and kind of working to create that inclusive environment and taking the burden off of Indigenous students, staff, and faculty. It's really important to me to be attending the Indigenous graduation powwow. I think it's something that I've seen and kind of seen throughout my years at the U of M, and kind of look forward to attending when I was graduating, and it's definitely been something I've been looking forward to as a graduating student. Once again, it speaks to the inclusive environment that U of M and the Indigenous community at U of M is trying to make on campus. And I think the whole idea of convocation in general is a little bit of a colonial concept, so kind of taking the reins on that and making sure that Indigenous students are celebrated in a way that is culturally appropriate. And I think it's also beautiful that the graduation powwow is open to non-Indigenous students and staff and faculty as well, to kind of have that as a learning opportunity of this is how some groups and Indigenous people celebrate, and we're really working hard to incorporate the Métis, Inuit, and First Nations culture into the powwow. It's going to be a really special day for all of the Indigenous students and graduates, and then also for our families and any non-Indigenous people that come and join as well, and kind of see how we get to celebrate and the really rich culture at the U of M for the Indigenous community.